Happy Victory Sunday, Notre Dame fans. We've got Mike Singer and Eric Hansen live on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel talking Notre Dame's 70-7 win over Syracuse from yesterday. We're going to reflect on that. The Tylers will be joining us a little bit later in the show. Tyler Horka and Tyler James, Blue and Gold beat writers. We're talk about Jeremiah Love. We're going to talk about the college football playoff. If it's hot in the world of Notre Dame football, this is where we talk about those items. And of course, Kingston Viliamuasa's injury. That we got that news about an hour ago. So we will, of course, discuss that. A disappointing update to share. Viliamuasa out for the season. And again, we will talk about what that all means. Before we do that, we got to let you know that holiday season is here, and Academy Sports and Outdoors has the legendary gifts you need at undefeatable prices every day. Shop in store or online at academy.com to save on gifts from on everybody's list, from football jerseys and basketball hoops to fire pits and deer stands. The most wonderful time of the year happens here. So this holiday season, give the gift of fun from Academy Sports and Outdoors. Eric Hansen, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, and I have all kinds of Christmas lists in front of me. I saw my grandkids on the weekend, and they all handed them in. There were no deer stands on the list, but some of those other things sound pretty good.
We might need to change that. Eric, 70-7. It was such a beatdown. We're probably not going to spend a ton of time on that game, but man, have you ever seen anything like that game?
No, not from the, I've never seen a game where a team's offense went 4 possessions before they even got on the field and came in with a 21-0 lead. I've never seen anything quite like that in any sport, especially you don't expect it from another Power 4 team. It just didn't get any better for Syracuse until 7 seconds, I guess, were left.
Yeah. What is it with these teams that score on Notre Dame late in blowouts? I feel like it's been happening for years. 70-0 would have been a pretty nice statement, but 70-7, not too bad. Can't complain too much, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't affect Notre Dame in the polls one way or another, but I think it's important for Notre Dame to continue to look like a team that's improving when there's other teams that are playing more challenging teams in November. So you got to really take care of your business.
100%. And of course, Notre Dame will have another opportunity to do that on Saturday night, late, 10:30 Eastern. Eric, are you sure you want to do that post-game show with me?
I absolutely will. I mean, but when we're doing the post-game show, that's actually fairly early in my night. I mean,
yeah.
We usually do the post-game takeaway show on our channel later than that. So that's going to be a piece of cake. It's going to be getting everything done after that.
When is the last time Notre Dame played a game that kicks off after 10 o'clock?
1991. They did it twice.
My God.
Yeah, they did it at Stanford that year. They played at Stanford, and it was a 11 o'clock Eastern time kickoff. And then they played Hawaii late in the year, and that was also 11 Eastern time.
So what does that night, I'm getting off track here, but what does that night look like for you? When are you going to bed, and when do you have to wake up the next afternoon, I guess, right?
Well, for this show, I better be awake.
Right.
So, I mean, in general, like on a night game, I usually go to bed between 7 and 8 in the morning. That's for a 7:30 start. With all the stuff that I do.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And well, we do, there, especially if it's like an away game, I'll do 2 YouTube shows, usually have 3 stories to do, and do my top 25. And I take an hour and a half to 2 hours to do that. And then I go to bed and then get up the next day. And at some point, like later in the day, when I get done with all my Sunday stuff or most of it, I'll take a little bit of a nap to catch up and then finish up and get ready for the week. On that day, I'll be able to get a lot of the top 25 stuff done before the game starts.
Sure.
So that will help. And then you know how our rotations go. I actually have the easiest game coverage
That's good
assignment I only have 2 elements to do. They're the easiest ones for me to do. They're right up in my lane. So it won't be too bad. And again, I mean, I look at it as an adventure. I used to pull all-nighters in college and stuff, and I've had kids and grandkids, and those have been all-nighters sometimes. So
Sounds like you're going to go to bed at like 6 or 7 in the morning.
if I get to bed by 8 in the morning, I consider that a victory.
Yeah, I might let you have your first Sunday roundtable. No, Eric, that's the turkey leg. That's gonna
That
be the
is the
turkey leg
turkey
Sunday.
leg.
So you can't take off, Eric.
No, we'll be fine. What I might do is just do the behind the ballot story for Monday morning instead of doing it on
There you go.
Sunday. That would probably balance out the Sunday a little bit better. Especially if I'm eating a turkey leg, I'll have that tryptophan. I'll never wake up.
Folks, you are just getting a behind the scenes look at a conversation between Eric Hansen and me whenever we get on the phone. So fun time. So you did mention your ballot. So this was yours for this week. For folks watching on YouTube, the number on the left is where they rank right now for Eric's ballot, right? And the number on the right is where they were a week ago. So your top 13 remained the exact same, Eric. So you have Notre Dame in the 7, Oklahoma 8, Texas Tech 9, Alabama 10. What were your biggest takeaways from the weekend in college football? Obviously, the Pitt result is only a good thing for Notre Dame, right? Beating Georgia
Absolutely.
Tech, they're going to launch back into the college football playoff top 25, you would imagine, with that, and their Pitt's down in 24. And then you didn't drop USC very far for that loss to Oregon, only 14-17.
I didn't, and I know Brett McMurphy, who's on threes, one of their national guys. He didn't even have USC in his top 25. I almost think that was not on purpose. I think maybe he forgot to put him in, when he was, because I can't imagine. I mean, losing to Oregon, losing to Notre Dame, both of those teams on the road, beating Michigan. Their other loss was to Illinois. I think USC is a pretty good team, and I think I just couldn't sink them below the teams that are underneath them. I realize that they have 3 losses now, but I'm not a strict adherent. I used to work with a guy that said every undefeated team needs to be ranked ahead of every 1-loss team, ahead of every 2-loss team, ahead of every 3-loss team. I said, really? They don't play the same schedules and they don't play them in the same order.
Eric, I thought you're the guy blowing the leaves across the street was done, but no, I just took a break for a second. Sorry about that. For anyone who hears that.
Yeah, if he's plugged in somewhere, I'm going to go unplug him. But yeah, I'll. You know what? My grandkids always want to play Ding Dong Dash when they come over here, and I'm going to let them with that guy.
Up on the screen is the actual AP Top 25 poll, which of course does not matter in terms of crowning a national champion, but it usually is a good reflection of what the CFP will do. And there is USC in their 19. What about the possibility, Eric, of no ACC team in the field? That's something I really was excited about the possibility of. There's JMU in the 20 by the AP and North Texas in the 21. I don't remember what let me see if I can just find.
I think the CFP had Tulane in the top 25, which is in the same conference as North Texas. And so
here's the rankings from a few days ago. So Tulane was in the 24. So yeah, as you have mentioned a lot, Eric, like at the top, the AP and the CFP will mirror each other, but as you get into the 20s, it's picking names out of a hat.
The one that shocked me was Illinois at 21, and then they got their doors blown off by Wisconsin on Saturday. I think there's an obligatory number 21 has to be a Big Ten team. They'll have to figure out a new one to put in that spot. That maybe Washington will be the one this week, but that was odd. And you get down to those bottom teams and you're picking the lesser of evils. You're not picking the better teams. I had, like Arizona State, SMU, and those teams, because at least they had like Arizona State beat Texas Tech, even not at full strength, but they beat them, and SMU beat Miami. So I try to pick at least teams that had a really good spot on their resume and didn't have a leaf blower outside of their house with a neighbor.
Trying to pull up another tweet. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna something to throw on in a bit. Eric, I've been talking, I think, for 5 days now about the box. Are you excited to see what we're gonna unbox? Have you not heard me talk about this?
No, I have not heard about the unboxing. Is it matching pajamas with you and your
So
daughter?
I think I showed this in the 6-pack show that I got a box. You see, it's a Starbucks box, Eric.
Okay, I like that. We're,
and then
we're on the same page so far.
I looked on I'm not about to dox my location, but I looked on here on the tag, and it's like the stickers, like this is a South Bend address. And you know what? I know this address because I read this person's ad all the time. So I think I'm about 95% sure what is in this box. I have not looked. I did cut the tape here. So it's someone reusing a Starbucks box. So we're going to take a look. And what we have in here is cardboard.
Okay.
We have, oh man, how about this? A football that says Augie's Locker Room, established 2007.
All right.
And as I expected, Augie put it in a thank you bag. I'm going full screen here, Eric.
Okay.
I was talking about this in my recruiting show with Kyle Kelly. The signed Steve Angeli mini helmet. This thing, I was like, I need this. Someone please buy this for me so I can put it in my display. And it's now here. I don't know if someone bought this or Augie just saw the clip and sent it to me. Either way, thank you so much, Augie. This is awesome. The Notre Dame mini helmet signed by Steve Angeli. Eric, we only started working together over the summer, so you don't know how the lore with me and Steve Angeli. I've just been the Steve Angeli guy on the Notre Dame beat. So this is fun, but also awesome. I'm very, very happy about that. So
I was under the impression that Kyle Kelly had signed those items, so now I'm even more excited that it's Steve Angeli that did.
Augie's Locker Room, seriously the best. Augie's an incredible guy. When I was reading this ad last Thursday, I noticed that the Angeli helmet was gone. And I was still at that point pretty sure that that's what was in the box. So I just kind of was like, man, someone bought it. It's gone. I don't get to have it. But still, if you go to Augie's Locker Room, of course, yeah, again, I figured that it was the Angeli helmet, but they do have signed mini helmets. JD Bertrand, Stephon Tuitt, Jack Kaiser. The Manti one sold out. You'll like this. The Steve Angeli one was $10 more expensive than the Brian Kelly signed mini helmet. Wow. Julius Jones, EQ St. Brown, Xavier Watts, Jalen Sneed. The Johnny Lujak one sold out, but Kyle Rudolph, Audric Estime. I mean, seriously, Augie's Locker Room is the place to be. Eric, do you have any Augie stories?
I don't. I need to create some. I've met him before, and he's a fascinating guy, but I don't have any. I don't have any memorabilia.
Well, I was at the Blue and Gold offices a couple years ago, and I got to meet him. He showed up at our office, looking for somebody, and there he found me. So I was like, "Hey, I know you. I read your ads." Yeah, second best day of my life. Which one is first between my daughter's birth and my wedding day? I mean, it's up for debate. But anyways. All right, that's that. Let's bring in Tyler Horka. Tyler, this news sucks. Kingston Viliamuasa out for the season. I can't remember if it was you or Jack tweeted. I think it was you that like the moment it happened or something. What time of the game was it, and what's your reaction to this news?
Yeah, very end of the first half. So it
like 600-0 score.
Yeah, I mean, it was what, 49-0 or something crazy. So a lot of the starters even played into the second half, but that's another story. With KVA specifically, he got rolled up on pretty bad and like even paused. There's a moment where he was crouched down, like trying to get up, and then runs to the sideline. And you could tell right there that something wasn't right. And he actually came in after the 2-minute warning and played another snap and got blocked down pretty bad and came out, and probably shouldn't have been in there for that one if it did happen on the previous one, but it doesn't matter when it happened at this point. He's out for the season. And I also put it on social media that I think he's Notre Dame's second best defensive player overall. I mean, it's hard to compare across position groups, but if Leonard Moore is a surefire first-round NFL draft pick, which it seems like he's going to be, not in this coming draft, but the one after that, because he's only a true sophomore. KVA is also only a true sophomore, and I think he has at least day 2 NFL draft stock. Could maybe even play his way. It's hard to get drafted in the first round for anybody, but like he's immensely talented. He does things for the Notre Dame defense that nobody else does. Like I saw somebody in the chat say, okay, Madden Faramo time. And yeah, Madden Faramo is a good football player, but he's also a true freshman, and he hasn't done nearly what KVA did as a true freshman last year. You can line this guy up anywhere in the front 7 and he can make a football play for you. And I don't know if Notre Dame has another guy like that can line up along the line of scrimmage and go after the quarterback, drop into coverage, play over the middle, all of these things. He is phenomenal. And without him, the Notre Dame defense is a little worse off. There's no other way to put that.
Eric?
Tyler made some really good points. I do think that the one thing Notre Dame has is they do have other really good linebackers, none of them as good as Kingston Viliamu-Asa, but let's say Manti Te'o had gone down in 2012. Yeah. The drop-off between Manti and whoever was going to come in with him was a cliff. KVA could rush the passer, and his coverage grades were amazing. He's one of the best coverage linebackers in the country. I do think that Madden Faramo playing as much as he has is going to help mitigate some of this a little bit, and the fact that he's not as skilled as KVA, but he does a lot of the same things, just not to the degree that he is. So that'll help. But you're going to need Jalen Sneed and Jaden Osbury to step up their games and be more consistent. But yeah, that's a tough blow. When you look at Notre Dame being a top 13 run defense right now, a big part of that is Kingston Viliamu-Asa. He is amazing in terms of his run defense.
There's obviously going to be people talking about like, oh, should he have been out there? But it's the first half of a football game. Notre Dame was up huge, but I don't think like you can just. I mean, the first half you're just going to pull out all your starters. Like it's football. These things happen. It sucks, but I don't think like, oh, Notre Dame shouldn't have had their linebacker out there. Now, if it's, 63-0 and you're running quarterback power of CJ Carr, something like that. Like, all right, that's something to talk about. But are you guys in agreement with me, Tyler? Like, I mean, it's football. Like, I'm not blaming the staff here.
You can get hurt at any point in time playing the game of football. Ask Tay Johnson, who was punching out a football during practice, and he wasn't able to play in this game, probably won't play against Stanford. It's really good that Notre Dame's going to have him back for the college football playoff, it sounds like, though, because he's in that top 3 to 5 player. Like, he might be Notre Dame's third best defensive player, to be quite completely honest. But as far as KVA goes, he played less than 30 snaps in this football game. Like, any given game, you expect him to play 40, 50. He was never going to play 40, 50 in one that was this much of a blowout, but like things happen. I agree with you, Mike. It sucks, but someone said rarely do starters get taken out in the first half. You're just trying to get to the locker room, and maybe we wouldn't have seen him, and it stinks compartmentalizing that. Like, you were 2 minutes away from KVA not playing at all in the second half anyway. But like I said, you saw Drake Bowen in the second half of that game and a lot of defensive linemen and whatnot. So you can get hurt at any point playing football. It stinks that this has happened to him in the penultimate week of the regular season 2 years in a row, though. Remember, he hurt his knee against Army last year and wasn't able to play against USC. And then I can't remember if he returned against Indiana or Georgia or Penn State, but like he missed some time at the end of last year too. So a couple rough goes late in the year his first 2 years at Notre Dame.
Eric?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't think they're going to be able to expand beyond the 4 that they've been playing, with Faramo being number 4 in that rotation. I was trying to think if they wanted to expand to 5. I would say it would probably be Kahanu Kia if they were going to try to bring a 5th guy into that rotation. Nobody else has really played more than a handful of snaps. And Kahanu hasn't even played high leverage snaps, but I think they would trust him and his skill set more than some of the other players in the linebacker. And I agree with what Tyler said. I mean, first half, I think you get to halftime and then you can decide when you want to pull your starters. But boy, I've never seen a game in my career where somebody was pulling their starters in the first half.
Does anyone know what the score of that Bears game was? I'm gonna pull
31-28 Chicago.
Chicago won.
Yep.
All right. So we're gonna bring in Tyler James, who is in his car. How you feeling about that big win for the Bears?
I'm feeling great. It came down to the wire, which put me into my backup plan scenario of hooking up through my friend's internet. And while the game was ending, his internet went out. So my backup plan backfired. And so now I pulled over on the way home to join you guys. So that's why I'm not driving. I am in my car, but I am not driving. So hopefully you guys can hear me all right. And hopefully I've blocked the glare from the setting sun. But I'm here after a Bears victory. So it made us sweat.
All right, let's keep you for a bit, and then I can get you on the road so you're not sitting in your car for a half hour or longer. But
no worries.
The Kingston injury, what was your reaction when you saw that news?
Yeah, just a bummer. Obviously, someone who's played very good football for Notre Dame, and for him to have to deal with injuries at the end of both of his first 2 seasons at Notre Dame really stinks. But fortunately, Notre Dame has depth at linebacker and an experienced depth with all the guys that they rotate. I think it puts more pressure on every one of those guys to sort of maximize what they do. I think what separates Kingston from the rest of those guys, in my opinion, is that he can do a little bit of everything. He's the most versatile. Like might be their best pass rusher of that group. He might be their best coverage guy of that group. And I think even yesterday he had the best run defense score from PFF for Notre Dame in the game. So they'll have to figure out a way to make do without him. I think they have the guys to do that. But he's someone who I think he sets the tone physically for them in a number of ways. I think Drake Bowen can do that too, but Kingston brings a lot of that. And you see him getting very fired up and guys getting very fired up with the way he sort of plays with velocity, as Marcus Freeman likes to say.
The sun hitting your beard looks fantastic. What a strange thing to say, but I had to say it. All right, let's move to talking about Jeremiah Love, and then I want to discuss some college football playoff talk. Going into this game, I was like, I think that Love is right on the fringe of being invited to New York. And it's crazy because, Notre Dame just beat Syracuse and they're a terrible football team. But it just feels like there's been a shift to not only, yes, he's going to be invited. I think he might actually win this damn thing, especially if Mendoza and San don't look particularly good. Like you would think, okay, the winner of the Big Ten title game, assuming Indiana and Ohio State win this upcoming week, which is never a guarantee for Ohio State playing against Michigan. But like you would assume, all right, winner of the Big Ten title game, really good chance to win the Heisman. Man, what if it's like one of those guys don't look particularly good? And then I saw this from Caesar Sports. Fernando Mendoza is a minus 105 favorite right now. The next best odds is Jeremiah Love at plus 400 and Sayin at plus 450. I don't know what the odds make, or like why Mendoza is in the minus now for this, and Sayin's up to plus 450. Love has better odds to win the thing than Julian Sayin. Love is getting so much national love. No pun intended. Like everyone is talking about Jeremiah Love. 8 carries, 171 yards, 3 touchdowns against lowly Syracuse. But it just seems like he has several Heisman moments, like every game. Like he's striking the pose. He's a lot of fun. You got like Bussin' with the Boys and the Barstool guys. Like everyone is talking about Jeremiah Love. Horka, I'll go to you on this.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible that he had probably 3 Heisman moments in that game, if you want to call every single one of his touchdowns a Heisman moment. 2 of them for sure. I mean, anytime you take 145 plus yards to the house, he did that twice. He only had 8 carries in this game. Pretty phenomenal. I was a little worried for his sake when Notre Dame's winning 21-0 before the offense touches the ball, because you didn't know how much Jeremiah was going to be able to touch the ball. And it turned out, like I said, 8 times. That's what you expect in a game that was that much of a blowout. But the way that he's able to make the most of those 8 touches, he's incredible. And yeah, there's some stats I put out on social media that shows how effective and efficient he is. There's 12 guys in college football right now averaging at least 100 rushing yards per game. Jeremiah Love is the only one of those who's averaging at least 7 yards per carry. He's number 3 in the nation in yards from scrimmage per game. Among those 3 guys, he has the most yards per play every time he touches the ball. So, like, he is the human highlight reel. And I guess there's something to the year ending in 5 and someone winning the Heisman Trophy that's a running back, because what is it, going on like 6 or 7 decades? I think some people dug up that stat. Like 2015 was the Derrick Henry year, 2005 Reggie Bush, 1995 Eddie George, I believe, and it goes on and on and on all the way back. Maybe it's the year of the running back, and that running back is unequivocally Jeremiah Love. Not just the best running back in college football. I do believe he's the best player. But if this is a quarterback award, if someone does light up the Big Ten championship game, it could go to one of those 2 guys. It really could. But here's the crazy thing. Everyone's always like, don't cast your ballot before the conference championship games, right? Those are data points. Those count. We need to see how these guys play. I mean, for Notre Dame's sake, I think you want people to cast their ballots at the end of the regular season, because that's when Jeremiah Love concludes his campaign. And then Mendoza and Sayin get to continue theirs, probably in the Big Ten championship.
How many Heisman voters do we have at Blue and Gold, Tyler?
Well, you're talking to 3 right here, I believe, and we have 4 on the staff. So this is a Heisman Trophy roundtable. This isn't a Blue and Gold roundtable. This is the Heisman Trophy roundtable.
Okay, well, I will recuse myself from the rest of this conversation. In all seriousness, Tyler Hork, I want to ask you, and then I want to go to Tyler James and then Eric. What are you thinking right now about where you're going to put Jeremiah Love? Because you guys get the vote for 3.
Yeah.
Right? You 1, 2, 3. So where are you thinking you'll put Jeremiah Love right now is where things stand?
I'm right in line with what you prefaced this conversation with. Before the Syracuse game, Jeremiah Love was probably 3 for me. Like, he had done enough that he needs to be invited to New York. So I was going to, oblige that and say, yeah, he's in there. He might have done enough in that game and still has a game against Stanford to be my number 2, maybe be my number 1. But I do think it's among those 3 guys that we're talking about: Jeremiah Love, Julian Sayin, and Fernando Mendoza. I think those are the clear top 3 to me. Unless Marcel Reed lights up Texas and has like his Heisman moment under the lights in Austin, that's a possibility. But for me right now, it's those 3 guys.
And then, of course, Reed would have the SEC title game as well. Tyler James?
Yeah, I think Love's probably 2 right now for me, with sort of mimicking those odds that you showed a little bit earlier. With Mendoza and probably the reason Mendoza has the best odds is because his Heisman moment essentially came in that Penn State game. Now, obviously, there's games left for him and Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Love to sort of, and Marcel Reed, as Tyler Horka mentioned, the guys to sort of maybe cement themselves. But to me, like right now, I think my number 1 will be between likely Mendoza and Sayin based on how they finish the season. And then Love is probably 2nd. And then whichever one of those quarterbacks I didn't put first would be 3rd. That's what I'm thinking as of now. Obviously things can change, but if I was forced to do it right now, that would probably be where I'm at. I think the good thing for Love is that I think he's probably going to be on so many ballots because I think he just is the most electric football player. Whether we can debate it, whether or not he's the most outstanding. But I think, like, if you have a chance and you see Notre Dame football has the ball, you want to see, okay, what's Jeremiah Love going to do when he gets an opportunity with the ball in his hands? And that's the reason why he's in this Heisman conversation.
So for you, is it kind of like he doesn't control his own destiny to win the thing? Like, for him to win it in your eyes, would like the winner of the Big Ten title game assuming that Indiana beats Purdue and of course Ohio State beats Michigan, like that guy has the leg up unless they win in spite of him, kind of thing.
Yeah. I think what holds Love back a bit is his performance against Miami. And those other guys are playing for undefeated teams right now, and they could be the reason their teams are winning. Where Love didn't impact the game enough against Miami, and I don't know that's necessarily his fault either. The game plan was not one that allowed him to do that. But when the margin of error is so slim, when you're trying to pick apart these guys to vote them for the Heisman, I think that is what probably would prevent Jeremiah Love from being the number one guy.
Eric Hansen, weigh in here, sir.
Well, for me, I don't even think about who I'm voting for until the ballot gets in my mailbox. So I'm a party pooper, but I do assess how I think other people are going to vote and how Heisman campaigns are run and how that's changed over the years. And what I think helps Jeremiah Love are two things. One is you have to see him to really appreciate him. If you just look at his raw numbers, there's other guys that are kind of like that in college football. Horka did a really good job of putting them in perspective today. But when you see those highlights, and they're all over social media now, it gets your attention. The other thing was Notre Dame did a really good job of not pushing him early in the season and people getting tired of him. He's the fresh face. He's the fresh name. And there's something to that of being a guy that's surging toward the end of the season. I'd say the only really danger spot for him is let's say CJ Carr had been a candidate. CJ Carr got to throw 9 passes yesterday and threw for around 50 yards against a really bad team. If he had a game like that against Stanford, that could hurt him. Stanford's a good run defense. They're 25th. They do everything else awful, but they're really good at that. So if he has good numbers against them, that does matter. But he may not get a lot of opportunities if that game gets out of hand early. But I think he'll end up being in New York. And right now, I think he's got a really good chance to finish second. I think one of those other quarterbacks will end up beating him. But again, Julian Sayin is a little bit of a captive in that. What if Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate don't play into the playoff again? That could hurt his numbers, for example.
On the topic of numbers, I think what's helping Jeremiah Love from the quarterback standpoint side of things is I'm not too terribly blown away. Like Fernando Mendoza and Julian Sayin are incredibly efficient, but say if this was a year where they were putting up, I don't know, even Cam Ward last year or Jaden Daniels. I think about some of the quarterbacks that have won in like the last decade. Like think about those OU quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts. Those guys were just lighting it up, 40, close to 50 touchdowns. I believe Mendoza has 30 right now. Julian Sayin has 27. Again, they're very efficient. You can count on both hands how many interceptions combined those guys have thrown, which is always nice to see a small number in that statistical category if you're a big numbers person. But yeah, Eric mentioned that Jeremiah Love's numbers aren't going to blow you away. Like look at Ashton Genty last year and he didn't win the Heisman, which is pretty incredible because what did he do? Set the record for FBS rushing yards or around there. I mean, it was like close to 3,000 rushing yards. Jeremiah Love has not even half that right now, but I think Tyler used the word outstanding. And that's what this award is for, right? The most outstanding college football player. And when you do stack up Jeremiah Love next to Fernando Mendoza and Julian Sayin, I believe that Jeremiah Love is the most outstanding football player in the country. And to be honest, number 2 or 1B, I know there's some people in Columbus, Ohio that would definitely say number 1. I think Jeremiah Smith is the other guy in the conversation of who's the most outstanding, but he's been injured and his quarterback is playing so well that he's kind of out of the award now. But to me, Jeremiah Love, I get to watch him every single week, as do these guys, and he's the most outstanding player in the nation to me.
Tyler James, did you want to add something?
No, sorry. You're good.
I thought I saw that number. Yeah, so there's Love's stats on the season. 185 carries, 1,306 yards, 17 touchdowns, of course, has 3 receiving scores as well. Someone asked in the chat if he will break the school rushing record. Needs 131 yards. I believe it was 1979.
Yeah, 131 to tie, 132 to break.
I mean, you think that Notre Dame knows that and will want to get that for him. I mean, I think that just helps his case. Like Notre Dame is on
games
this.
Count too, but
okay.
Yeah. They started counting those games, and Alan Pinkett let us know during his career, because he would have been the Notre Dame's career leader during the year during his career, they made the shift like halfway through his career, but the postseason games count. So he doesn't necessarily have to do it against Stanford, but it would be impressive for him to do it against Stanford and have it done during regular
Heisman
season.
Trophy voters. He needs to do it against Stanford to have that data point or whatever. Here's something he could do against Stanford. He could set that record, and he could also set Notre Dame's single season touchdown record. He's currently tied with Jerome Bettis with 20. So the next score of any kind is a record there. Like he's
one behind
he's had all these Heisman moments.
Yeah,
he could have a couple more against Stanford if he breaks those 2 records.
He's one behind Audric Estime in rushing touchdown record. So it's 18 to 17. He has 2 straight years of 17. And so with a couple against Stanford, he would jump past Audric. And another record, when you start thinking about all-time Notre Dame players, that's when you start going, whoa.
Yeah. That's what I was just thinking. Like when that tweet goes viral, like, oh, he just broke a Jerome Bettis record. Oh, now he has the most single season rushing yards in school history, and he did it in the regular season, and because obviously the playoffs inflate stats, career stats, like and season stats. They just you're playing more games, but yeah, if he does that in the regular season, and to Tyler's point, of course, you want to do that because the Heisman is before the playoffs. Then if he scores 2 touchdowns and breaks Estime's record, that would be awesome. What a turnaround for Notre Dame running backs. I mean, do you guys remember Jafar Armstrong? I mean, no disrespect, a stray bullet to Jafar Armstrong, but it was like 6 years ago. He was running back 1. 2, you have Jadarian Price is running back 2, and he's incredible. Like it's an embarrassment of riches right now.
I'll give you a stat on Price, and Tyler brought this up last week. Price was leading the country. Tyler mentioned this on radio yesterday, leading the country in kickoff returns at 37.5 yards a return. He dropped out of the rankings this week because he doesn't have enough returns. He's 1 short. But let me give you some perspective. His 37.5 is ahead of where Rocket Ismail was in 1988 was his kickoff average. About a yard difference, but it's a yard better than what Rocket was in 88 during his best year.
Eric, I want to ask you something, then we're going to go kind of rapid fire-ish the rest of the show. I have some tweets I want to pull up. People are talking about Price coming back for next season in the chats. He walked on senior day. Doesn't mean that he can't come back, but would you think Price goes to the NFL?
I think that he has a real decision to make. I think Notre Dame would like him to come back and will make it attractive for him to come back, and then he'll have to make that decision. And if there's somebody that will go against the grain, Jadarian Price kind of always has done that in terms of surprising you and when it comes to staying at Notre Dame for different reasons. So I would not write that off as silly. Now, again, I think for him to be responsible, he needs to talk to NFL people and say, what round am I projected to be in? Am I running back 2 in this draft? If he is, that makes it harder. If he's in a big pool of possible running back 2s, then I think that's a little bit different.
All right, let's look at good stuff, Eric. Let's look at the latest college football playoff bracketology from Andy Staples. I compared it to the actual, projected bracket from the CFP from this past Tuesday. It is the exact same, except everyone's kind of like, all right, let's not include Miami now. So he's got SMU, and he does have in the first 4 out category Miami, and then BYU, Utah, Michigan. So I did want to pop this up on the screen. There's really nothing new to discuss here, and honestly, I mean, look, tune into our Tuesday show where we react to the CFP rankings, but it's probably going to be the same as last week at the top, unless I'm missing something.
I think it'll be very similar. The one place that the AP poll changed some things around is Oregon's win impressed enough people that they moved up to 5. Ole Miss slid down to 6, and then Texas Tech, which was tied for 6th, moved down to 7. So there was a little bit of an order change there.
So I'm sorry, what'd you say the AP poll had it between 5 to 7?
Oregon 5, Texas Tech 7, and Ole Miss 6.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll see if the committee changes that. Would you think they might?
They might be that impressed with the USC victory. I think that's what I kind of was thinking about. And again, Oregon passes the math test. Their statistics look really, really good, much better than Ole Miss's. Texas Tech looks really good too, but I'm still not figuring out how I feel about the Big 12. And I'm thinking that collectively they're not as good out of the conference as some of these other conferences. They're certainly not proven outside the conference, but Texas Tech looks really good.
Yeah. This is a tweet from Ross Dellinger. He's got the locks, Ohio State, Indiana A&M, the likely locks, Georgia and Texas Tech, with just those 1 losses for those two. Of course, the automatic qualifiers, the ACC champ and the group of 5 champ. And then on the bubble, he says winning in, you have Ole Miss. If Ole Miss beats Mississippi State, they're in. If Oregon beats Washington, they're in. And if Oklahoma beats LSU, that Oregon game is at Washington. And then win in likely in. So he doesn't even have Notre Dame in the win and in. It's win and likely in Notre Dame at Stanford. And then, of course, Alabama playing in the Iron Bowl at Auburn. And then on the bubble, on the outside looking in, BYU, Utah, Miami, Vanderbilt, Texas, Michigan. Does anyone want to chime in on what's the scenario that would happen right now that Notre Dame doesn't get in if they beat Stanford? I mean, okay, let's say Notre Dame wins 24-17. Okay, so it's not an impressive win, which that's not going to happen. But let's just say for the sake of this, what has to happen for Notre Dame to drop out? Like Miami gets close enough and then Miami just destroys Pittsburgh?
I don't think it's the Miami thing that he's thinking about. I think what he's thinking about, what if Alabama runs a table and wins the SEC championship and beats Georgia or whoever they would play Texas A&M. So that would jump them. And then BYU wins a narrow game over Texas Tech, enough to lift them up, but not knock Texas Tech behind Notre Dame. I think that's why he doesn't have Notre Dame as a win and in type of lock. I don't see that happening, but that's a scenario that could happen. I think he framed that correctly.
Okay, Horka, juices.
Yeah, that's the doomsday scenario. Is Alabama winning the SEC because Texas A&M is not going to fall below Notre Dame if they lose to Alabama. Alabama would jump Notre Dame with a win over Texas A&M. That's pretty obvious to me, to be completely honest. And that's why it was so big that Alabama fell behind Notre Dame last week. Because if you were Notre Dame and you were behind Alabama, then you would be right on that bubble. Because the 2 spots behind you are the group of 5 in the ACC. Like, those are the automatic bids for winning those conferences. Notre Dame would be the last at-large team if they were behind Alabama. And Alabama's the last at-large team right now. But if Alabama wins the conference championship, they get in. All those other teams are at-larges, and that just condenses the field. And the BYU thing is really interesting because Texas Tech's been up there all year. If they lose close to a team that they already kicked the crap out of, are you really going to drop them out of the field entirely? Probably not. BYU has to get in because they're an automatic bid. Notre Dame gets squeezed out at that point if BYU beats Texas Tech and both of those teams get in, and Alabama beats Texas A&M presumably in the SEC championship, and all the SEC teams stay ahead of Notre Dame. Notre Dame's out at that point. It just is what it is. There's not enough spots.
All right, Eric, and then I want to hear from Tyler James.
Yeah, I think there's ways that this can go the other way and help Notre Dame. I don't know that Oklahoma's out of the woods with LSU. I think their offense is really below average, but their defense is awesome. The Egg Bowl could be interesting just because of all the drama that's going on with Ole Miss. And you mentioned Oregon and Washington. I think USC is better than Washington, but Washington and Seattle is weird. They are, they have a superpower up in Seattle, and so it'll be interesting to see how they handle Oregon. But I do think Oregon will win that game. But I think all three of those games are worth not, saying it's in the bank that those three teams are going to win. Now, Purdue and Indiana, that's in the bank. Indiana will beat Purdue.
Yeah, I just think that like these scenarios, though some of them may be unlikely. That's why there was arguments about whether or not Notre Dame was a lock or not a lock to being in the college football playoff. There's just so much left to play out, and when Notre Dame picked up its second loss, like you lose some of the ability to make strong arguments against other one-loss teams, and then you sort of need more and more two-loss teams to start stack up and feel like you're better than them. And it's always been the case that the Big 12 and ACC having as few as possible teams in the playoff field was the best scenario for Notre Dame to leave more at-large spots out, because you figure that the SEC and Big 10 are going to gobble so many of them up. But if the ACC and Big 12 pick up an extra one, then that puts Notre Dame in a more precarious situation.
What if Michigan beats Ohio State?
I think Ohio State would still be above Notre Dame, but it calls into that head-to-head thing that people, and it's something that just happened. Now, Michigan will have more losses than Ohio State. I don't think Ohio State can play in the conference championship if Michigan beats them.
Well, wouldn't it be Michigan's jumping Notre Dame would be the nightmare scenario, yes. Right?
I don't think they have enough, but it puts the voter. It's one of those headache things where,
I mean, if you beat the number one consensus team for the whole season,
but again, it's not a get out of jail free card. You beat them, but you also lost. You have a whole resume of the whole year that you have to look at. Now, that will weigh heavy because that just happened, but that doesn't wipe out everything else on their resume. Yeah. It doesn't wipe out losing to USC by 18 points.
What's crazy is too, like these conference championship games, sometimes they really matter, sometimes they don't matter at all. For Notre Dame, when you have two losses, like Tyler said, they matter a lot because you have specific rooting interest in them. If Michigan beat Ohio State, Michigan would be in the Big Ten championship, I believe, because they'd be one loss. And one of their losses to Oklahoma, which is out of conference. All of a sudden, I think Notre Dame would be rooting so hard against Michigan in that Big Ten championship game, because if Michigan won the Big Ten, then they get in, obviously. And Ohio State, like Eric said, is still going to be ranked ahead of you. And Notre Dame has upward mobility issue if all of these teams start jumping them. That just is what it is. Doomsday scenario squared to the exponential power is Michigan winning the Big Ten. I mean, there's a lot of teams that don't want Michigan to win the Big Ten, and Notre Dame is definitely one of them.
So where you guys are all wrong about this doomsday crap is that everyone told me, no matter what, it is 1,000,000,000% a lock that Notre Dame makes it. Yeah, see, that was a crock of shit. Here we are 2 weeks from Selection Sunday, right? 2 weeks? And it's still possible. It's unlikely. Something is going to break Notre Dame's way here.
Exactly.
Like they're going to be fine. All four of us think Notre Dame's going to get in. They're probably going to play in the 8-9 game. Could they get up to the 6 or 7? Probably not. But the 8-9 game, they could host. But there's definitely, like I say this all the time, those top 4 seeds up there. You guys just hang up there. Hey, Indiana, Ohio State. You guys just have a good Big Ten title game. You guys are good up there. Don't lose to Purdue or Michigan. Hey, Texas A&M, why don't you just go beat Texas? Just stay up there. Don't start getting where
Texas Tech beat BYU. Do it again.
Thank you.
I got 2 things to throw in here. 2 monkey wrenches to throw at you. One is, what if Texas Tech plays BYU in the Big 12 and said, you know what? We don't want to risk Baron Morton getting hurt. We think we're in. So we're going to play our backup quarterback against BYU,
They
and
would
BYU
not.
beats them. The other thing is, in a three-way tie, if Ohio State loses to Michigan and Oregon beats Washington, Oregon is in the championship against, just looked it up, Oregon is in the championship against Indiana and not Michigan.
Okay.
So Michigan would need Oregon to lose to Washington to get into that scenario, in which case that would also give Notre Dame a little bit of a reprieve with Oregon dropping below them. So that was my monkey wrenches.
All right. Hey, Tyler James, I don't want to keep you forever in your car. Do you want to, you can.
No, you're fine. No, I'm chilling. We're good. No worries.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure. All right. Well, let's talk about another sponsor for today's show, and it is BetMGM. So if you're locking in those Saturday showdown bets, make sure you use BetMGM. If you're riding with the underdog or going with the favorites, take your excitement to the next level with the College Football Odds Boost token. Log into your BetMGM account to receive your token, then place a bet on any college football matchup with your activated token. If your boosted bet hits, you'll score a bigger payout. Claim your odds boost token and be sure to activate it before placing your bets. The game's about to kick off, so feel the rush and own the moment. BetMGM, make it legendary. I do believe Notre Dame's about a 31-point favorite against Stanford. For those who gamble, go. When have we ever wanted Michigan to win the Big Ten? No, you just want Ohio State to beat Michigan, and then we don't even have to have this discussion. But as Eric just mentioned, Michigan would also need Washington to win. So no, I do not think at this point we want Michigan to win the Big Ten.
Tyler James does, though.
I don't think Michigan's a very good football team. I just think the Big Ten is going to get extra credit for its recent history. Honestly, I think Notre Dame gets some of that too from the run that Notre Dame got last year. Yeah. I think that weighs into the way that Notre Dame has been forecasted by the committee this season. They'll never admit that, but I think that plays a role.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be a criterion, but it weighs in your mind. It's in the back of your mind. Right. You have confidence in certain coaches and certain programs. You're supposed to start with a blank slate. Otherwise, Texas Tech wouldn't have a prayer. But in the back of your mind, you think, I know this coach. I know this team,
Human element. It is. Yeah, it's a good point. I was looking at Michigan's schedule, and their best win is Washington, 24-7 win. I mean, the two really good teams they played that lost to by double digits, and Oklahoma and USC, both on the road. But it would be interesting, like just how highly the committee thinks of Ohio State, and if Michigan got a good solid win there, what that would mean.
Who's Ohio State's best win? Just curious.
Well, what you just said about that human element and the eye test, yeah, they beat Texas, but like it would be that, like just the amount of talent they have, and they just won the national title. So I think they're a great team.
I do too.
This is I saw this tweet this morning. Look at Arkansas' schedule. So they win their first two games against, I think that's Alabama and A&M and Arkansas State. Lose by 6 at Ole Miss. Lose by 1 at Memphis. Get blown out by Notre Dame. Lose by 3 against Tennessee. 3 against A&M. 9 against Auburn. 3 against Mississippi State. 1 point against LSU. And then 15 against Texas, to which I tweeted, they have to be the best 2-win team in college football history. And there's no way it's close. I'm not even going to do any research on this. That would probably be the biggest waste of time in my entire life. But they have to be the best 2-win team in college football. Is anyone going to argue with me?
I'm not going to argue with you. And this is where, again, when you can shape an argument any way you want. And I've seen people say, well, gosh, Notre Dame beat a 2-win Arkansas team. But when you start comparing the scores, those other teams that are in the field or wanting to get in the field for the CFP, and you say, wait a second, Notre Dame beat Arkansas on both sides of the ball worse than anybody did this season. The committee does look at those kinds of things.
Yeah,
that game helps Notre Dame.
What a brutal schedule too, Tyler James.
I was gonna say my question was gonna be where would Arkansas rank in the ACC?
They'd be like NC State. I think they're a team with a really good offense with not much of a defense, and I think they probably would beat NC State, but they'd be kind of that kind of middle of the pack kind of team, which every other ACC team is.
Yeah. The most impressive thing with Arkansas, or the way that Notre Dame beat Arkansas, rather, 13 points. I mean, look at Mike, you just showed all the scores. They score a lot of points against everybody else. They just scored 37 points in Austin against Texas yesterday. You could say they've been a different team after they fired Sam Pittman, which was literally the next day after Notre Dame played them. Notre Dame got Sam Pittman fired. It was the nail in the coffin type deal. But Bobby Petrino was still calling the plays for a really good offense, and they were humming along offensively going into that Notre Dame game. Like, they scored a lot of points against Ole Miss, against Memphis, and then Notre Dame went in there.
Would have won those games if they hadn't fumbled in both of them.
Yeah. I mean, Tyler was at that Arkansas game with me, and we saw a Notre Dame defense just completely shut down a really good offensive football team on their home field. And guess what? That was indicative and a precursor for what we've seen for the last 2 months, because it has been a lot of the same for the Irish on that side of the ball. And right on cue, Mike shows Chris Ash's smiling face.
Okay, going into that game, Notre Dame was 104th in pass efficiency defense. I won't go through all of these, but where do you think they are today?
Top 15? Top 20?
11th.
Wow.
11th. Number 11.
That's wild.
Good thing Notre Dame didn't fire him.
Eric, can you compare that to any sort of improvement you've seen in season from an offense or defense in covering Notre Dame? Is there anything that compares to that?
I've never seen a defense improve that much from that point in the season until now. My behind the ballot column is about, should improvement matter in rankings? And then I took the teams that are kind of in the bubble area that Notre Dame are, have they also improved? But Notre Dame, I chart every week, I chart 24 categories: offense, defense, special teams, and turnover margin. Notre Dame has improved from that kick butt coaches meeting on September 21st in 22 out of the 24. And in 7 of those categories, they've improved 80 spots. I've never seen that. All those are defensive and turnover margin. 6 defensive categories and turnover margin. It's stunning. I can't remember a team that's improved that much on defense. Maybe something comparable on offense at some point, but it doesn't come to mind. But defensively, I've never seen anything like this.
Well, boys, fun show as always. We're going to ask folks to hit the thumbs up on this video and subscribe to the channel for more content. It wouldn't be a Mike Singer-led show if I didn't mention something else about Chris Ash. How about this on Freezing Cold Takes? A tweet from Brad Powers on September 20th. Chris Ash is so bad of a hire that Marcus Freeman will be on the hot seat entering 2026. This is going to be a 5-loss season, says Brad Powers. Now listen, I am totally fine with someone having a hot take and then just being like, dang, I was wrong, man. Like, that was a bad take, right? But then it's the comments under it. Well, to be fair, we were all thinking that. Well, then you were all dumb and wrong. Like, listen,
yeah,
I do recruiting predictions, right? I do a lot of them. I get some of them wrong. And too many of you guys are like, it's okay, Mike, things change. I'm like, no, like, I predicted something. I got it wrong. I'm fine if you give me crap for it. I think it's the same. Like, if you're going to call for a guy to get fired and then Freeman's going to get on the hot seat, like, you deserve to get some crap for that. Like, that's bad. And Brad Powers, I follow the guy on Twitter. I've followed him for years. Actually, I really like him. He's really good with analytics and stuff. I tagged him. I was like, bro, like, that's bad. And then he responded me with well, I think I posted at halftime of the Purdue game. I think most everyone agreed with me. And I responded, that doesn't make it a good take. Like, I mean, like,
right. Everyone can be wrong. That doesn't mean it's right. It's still wrong.
Well, I think what you have to do in our profession too is you got to be able to see around the corner, and you have to analyze everything. If you're just going to give obvious takes, that's what Stephen A. Smith used to do. It just be the Lakers are dominant, and then they lose a game. What's wrong with the Lakers? They're never going to win again. And
Lakers in 5.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with that tweet was he went out on a limb with a hard stance projection of 5 losses, and that's going to be incorrect. Like in the moment, you could say, you could pull up a tweet from me, or maybe 5, that I said this Notre Dame defense. I said this Notre Dame defense is bad, and guess what? At the time, it was, but I didn't say Notre Dame's going to lose 5 games, and we need to get Chris Ash out of here immediately. That's when you get yourself into trouble.
Tyler, I love you, brother. I hope you know that I give you crap about some of your tweets, but it's all in good fun, you know. Yeah, CJ Carr, man, yeah, he stunk, man. 49 yards. Notre Dame won in spite of CJ Carr again, huh?
You need to let that one go, though.
See, there it is.
That's a week-to-week deal, man.
No, it's just twice. It's just twice. All right, we are going to end the show there. I got to take the girls out to dinner. So we're going to ask you all again to hit the thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel for more content. Next show will be Football Never Sleeps on our second channel. It's in the link in the description of this video, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And then we will be live 7:10-ish, 7:15-ish Tuesday after the college football rankings drop. It'll be me and Eric and probably someone else, or it'll just be me and Eric, but we'll live react to the new CFP rankings. So again, lock into this YouTube channel, link in the description of this video for our other channel with Eric Hansen and Tyler James. So make sure you subscribe there. Again, folks, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.